Let's see. Let's invite these people in. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
Good morning.
Doing great. What about you?
I'm doing fucking good, bro. I ended up investing with someone else yesterday. He helps with content. I was like, shit. I jumped on a 10 minutes call. He sold me. I was like, just take my money. Let's scale this up. Um, yeah, man. And I also got connected with this guy called, I don't know, Hogu Arnold. He's this coach for the biggest coach for barbers. So his niche is pretty niche down. Um, and it's insane because I don't promote our setters. I don't promote my setter management service. I honestly don't think so. He would be open to paying me as much as I charge for management because I would at least feel like it's 5K base plus commission. I don't think so. He's going to be open to that, but I can at least give him setters. So pretty cool, man. I was just thinking about it. If you have a good network, winning becomes almost impossible. Because yesterday I joined the new community, made a post. I had that coach Charlie reach out to me. Hey, I need a setter. Pretty cool. Let me get you in touch. Good base and everything else. So really interesting when you realize how big of a role your freaking network plays. Anyways, so for today, I don't think so. We have a lot of role plays. As a matter of fact, I don't think so. We have any role plays. We were supposed to have Jamal come in, and he's not here. Yo, bro, jumping in. Just send him a follow up. And besides that, I'll walk you over something real quick that I feel like is going to be super helpful for you. Now, as some of you know, I'm working on mind mapping intent based setting in modules for you guys to make it as easy for you as possible. And kind of putting different leads into different categories based on their personalities, what they say in the DMs, and how you're supposed to go with each and every conversation. So one person from that group is what we're gonna name Loader. Let me Loader. Now, what's a loader? This is someone that's doing 1,000 things at the same time. So we're talking about someone that does a job, they do affiliate marketing, they do freaking e-com, they're also trying to make money with trading, and they also want to be a part of your program or vehicle or whatever your coach offers. So how often would you encounter a lead like this? Maybe 20 to 30% of the time. So they are not a lot. You won't come across them too often. 20-30% of the time, though, you would come across leads freaking doing a lot of things. And it just makes it difficult for a setter to know what to do in positions like these because they're already doing so much. How can I find pain? What can I do? You know, they're all they're talking about is how I'm so great, right? So you need to understand that they come from a place of I know my shit, and they're just trying to match up energy with you. They're trying to come at the same level of authority as you. So, in situations like these, what I typically do, the best thing that you can do for someone like this is number one, you need a lot of info on everything. Which means if they're doing affiliate marketing, you want info on exactly what's happening. You need the details. Okay, how long you been doing that for? Pretty cool, man. And what sort of results are you getting? Okay, and what's with ecom and job? So you need as much information out of everything they're doing to maximize your results, and that way you can basically transition the conversation to your program, your vehicle, a lot easier because then you understand, okay, they're struggling with X, Y, and Z because of X, Y, and Z reasons. I can position my solution as the best one. The other thing that you do is you focus on disqualifying them. Now, you don't say it directly that you're going to disqualify them, but the same thing that we did with Dylan. right? You almost push them away. Like, hey man, you might not even need this. You're already doing so much, bro. Right? And the reason you want to do this is because they're not used to coaches pushing them away. And if they're already doing so much, it only logically makes sense to push them away. And the more you do that, the more you're gonna realize that most of the time, like 90% of the times, they're gonna come back. They're gonna be like, no, 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 man, it's not like that. I do want to do it, but why do you say I shouldn't? You know, because you don't have fucking time, bro. You're working, you're doing all of these things. And okay, so a lot of people would also say stupid shit. For example, if you ask, bro, why are you doing all of this? They're like, oh, I want to create generational wealth, right? Or I want to have different streams of income, right? Which there's nothing wrong with needing or wanting different streams of income, but what you got to realize is they're not really making a lot of money with any of these. They're making like $500 here, maybe $200 here, maybe freaking $350 here, and like about 2K from their job. And now they're thinking about joining our program. Right? So they want to make generational wealth, but they're not making money with anything. So what you got to make sure they understand by breaking their belief and trying to disqualify them. So the more you disqualify them, the more they're going to be like, no, 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 bro. I want to know more about this. How does it work? How does it work? Bada, bada, boom. Once they raise their hands, then you kind of break this belief of them. Like, hey man, can I share a perspective with you? Or you can just be like, let me ask you this, bro. Who's your one inspiration that you look up to? That inspires you in this online space. Let's say he says Andrew Tate. Be like, for sure, man. Do you know, like, what's one source of income for Andrew Tate that he made the most money with before he transitioned into a lot of different streams? He'd be like, I don't know, maybe trading, maybe his online brand. Be like, no, he made money with live cams. I don't know how many of you know that, but Andrew Tate used to run live cams, and that made him his first million. So he did that full time for years. He made his first million, and that gave him enough space because at that point he could freaking like allocate other, like he could hire other people to run it for him. He had more time, bada bada boom, and then he started focusing on other things. Then you could be like, bro, considering you do understand that Andrew Tate focused on one thing and made his first million and then focused on other streams of income, why are you doing it as of right now? And you're barely making anything with any of those. Right? So at that point, your whole thing is to try to disqualify them as much as you can, break their beliefs around why they want to do this, because this is what I call bullshit. Generational wealth, bullshit. Different streams of income, bullshit. The only reason they're doing all of that, guys, is because they're not making enough money. If they were making 20, 30K a month with one, they wouldn't even look at anything else. They're more than happy. Right? So you need to have them accept that. Bada bada boom. You need to get info on everything they're doing, because if you don't have the info, guess what? You cannot give them a perspective. You cannot share a perspective. You cannot make them doubt their own process. You need freaking info. And then finally, you try to disqualify them as much as you can, and that oftentimes would push them to basically want to work with you. Now, I will show you the live example of this conversation once again, because I do understand it is really important to understand how to actually disqualify someone, because a lot of you guys might be too direct. And guess what? If you're too direct, out of these 20%, 90% of the leads are basically going to go. Right? And that is not what we want. We want to disqualify them with the intention of them qualifying themselves. So let me open up this conversation and I'll walk you over that. Let's see. Bada bada boom. Jamal, bro, what's good?
So, man, you kind of cut off.
Oh, shit. Am I still cutting off?
I can hear you. No, you're good. You're loud and clear.
For sure,
You just
bro.
mentioned my name and you kind of cut off.
Yeah.
I'm good, man.
For sure, bro. Let me show you how this works in practicality, right? So this is an example of someone that's a loader. Now, guys, again, who is a loader? He's someone that's doing a lot of things at the same time and wants to add more on top of it. That's a loader. What do you do with those people? You get information on what they're doing exactly, the details. You try to disqualify them, and then you proceed to booking them in, right? So let's see. So he said, yeah, not my fault. I didn't have notifications on. I said, no worries, bro. You still want the resource or you got it all figured out? He said, yeah, I'll take the resource. Now, at this point, a lot of people would just send the resource. The reason I just said it is because I want him to raise his hands once again so I can send him the resource. Bada bada boom. Are you already in remote sales? I said, nah, I'm at car wash right now. But we do sales, and I'm one of the top sellers there. Right now, you gotta understand why did he say that he's a top seller is because he's just trying to match up the authority with me. There's no reason for him to say that he's a top seller. I don't give a fuck. Like, why would you tell me you're the fucking top seller? It's because he's being like, oh, I'm good at what I do, same as you, right? And I appreciate it. I was like fucking big dog energy right there, bro. The reason I became successful the reason I became as successful as I became with remote sales was because of the fact that I was selling magazines prior to that, and I was one of the top sellers there. What is this? This is introduction. This is me subconsciously telling him, like, hey, I was a magazine seller, and I was the top one as well, and that is the reason I became so successful with remote sales. So he's going to think, considering I'm a top seller with car wash, I should be really good at remote sales too. Right? So pretty cool. How long you been working at that car wash? Now at this point I asked him, what do you do? What makes you different? Like, what do you do differently that makes you the top seller? Now why did I do that? People love talking about themselves. People love bragging about themselves. And you know what? I would give him the opportunity to do that because it's the beginning of the conversation. So I'm going to make him feel good. He says, like, a month. I just push and don't take no for an answer. Now this is humor, right? Why do we add a bit of humor is because we're trying to set the tone of the conversation to informally professional. Why do we do that? Is so they don't look at us as freaking coaches, but as someone that's a friend, but just further away in life and someone that can teach them shit. So I said, how many times have you watched The Wolf of Wall Street? He said, like, once or twice. Lamau, it's done. I kind of moved ahead. I said, what's the goal with looking into something slightly remote? Now, I just did not say it as it is. I also added resonation, which is, bro, within a month, you've climbed your way up to being one of the top guys. Why are you looking into something remote? Right? Now, he said, probably make a lot more money before I leave for basic training for the military. I was like, wait, so you're leaving for military training? When's that? He said, in April. I was out at this point. We caught up here. Now, I said, to be honest, I've never chatted with anyone that's looking into military training. How does that work? So this is one of the best ways to basically transition into getting more information is just act like a beginner with that topic. Just act like a beginner in that specific topic. If someone says, I do affiliate marketing, be like, sheesh, man, to be honest, I've never chatted with a lot of people that do that. But how does that work? Right? And they would open up and they would try to explain to you in the best way possible because you know nothing. Right? So I said, to be honest, I've never chatted with anyone that's looking into military training. How does that work? Do you typically just train for a few months and get back? Or you train and get recruiters for a few years? Like, what exactly happens? He says, I train for 8 weeks, then go to tech school for a couple of months, and then I start my actual job. Now, if you look at this, guys, he's working a job. He's going to go for military training. After that, he's going to go to tech school. After that, he's going to get a job again. So if you're already doing all of that, because to me, it's a fucking plan. To me, it's a freaking plan. Like, he already has it figured out. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do remote sales? So he's a loader. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to try to get information and we're going to try to disqualify. That is what we're going to do. We're just going to keep on pushing him away. So let's see. I said, sheesh, man, how long will you be in the tech school before you start an actual job? He said 4 to 8 months. I said, sort of confused. I mean, you're already working a job. In about 2 months, you'll be off for training. After that, you'd get into tech school and land a good role. For most, this is a dream situation. What's the goal with something remote? You might not even need it. Right? So this is me just being like, you might not even need it, bro. Let me push you away. He said just to make at least 20K a month would be nice. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, that's cool. But I don't want to accept that bullshit because I'm trying to disqualify him, right? So I said, of course, bro. And then your end goal is to get a tech school plus a job. Also, around April, you'd go for training, not sure if they would allow you to do a remote job while training, which hardly leaves us a month and a half. And of course, you cannot expect to make 20K a month in that time frame. So this is me just trying to, like, whatever he says, I'm trying to disqualify him. He said, yeah, I do know I'd be able to do the remote stuff when I go to tech school. I'd be off on the weekends. Now, he's off on the weekends, but if he cannot work the weekdays, then he's disqualified. DM setting is not on a freaking weekend thing. So I said, would you be open during the week as well, or only the weekends? He said, probably a short time frame on the weekdays, but weekends I'd be all available. I was like, how many hours? 3 to 4. He said, no, 5 to 6. At this point, I said, bro, you have more than enough time. We have guys averaging 6K a month with that. With that military training, would you have time during the training, or that's not possible? Now, at this point, we did a follow-up with him, which was on Monday, when we were just having the Q&A session, and we did the entire conversation, the other half live. So he said, nah, it's not possible. I won't have internet access at all during that time, and my fault I didn't check the DMs. He said, not at all. I confirmed, like, not at all. He said, yeah. I said, to be honest, bro, it's better to look into something remote after April then. Now, why did I say that? Is if he jumps on a call and I'm like, hey, bro, the program is 4.2K. And he's planning to start, and he won't even have access to freaking internet in April. In his mind, he would be like, why should I pay 2K for something? Like, even 2K upfront. It's not even worth it, because I'd be gone for training. So, like, it's better to start something remote after April, when at least you have some consistency. I mean, you could put 4 to 6 weeks in, learn something, and just when you're gaining momentum, you lose it all because of military. He said, I mean, why can't I start now? So this is where he's qualifying himself now. Just because we've been pushing him away so much. I said, because of no internet connection. He said, well, because I don't leave until April, so I can do it in the meantime and get some money. So remember, he said the money he want to make is 20K a month. So I said, what sort of money? I remember you mentioned 20K, and that's bullocks with something like remote sales in about 4 to 6 weeks for a beginner. It took me at least freaking 2 years to hit my first 12K. He said, I mean, I know I won't make that much, but later down the line. I said, that's the mindset. I'm a fast learner, disqualifying himself, bada bada boom. At this point, I asked him, what's the income goal before he leaves in April? He said 5 to 6K because I have the time right now. I said, is that what you're making as a top seller right now? Where are we at with that? He said he makes 17 an hour. I said, how many hours you're working? 34 to 36, around 500 a week. 500 a week, not too bad, bro. But he said, yeah, I want more. What's the goal with something remote? Do you want to do it full time or hand on hand? Said bada bada boom. And at this point, bro, I freaking just talked about it. And at this point, let me show you something. So what exactly do I need to do to get started? At this point, he's raising his hand. He's intentful. He want to do this. And he's most likely, in his mind, is not thinking of me as a fucking coach that's after his money. Because I kept on pushing him away. Right? And at this point, I proposed a call. Bada bada boom. He booked in right away. Send the homework. And we're going to be chatting today. Right? So, this is an example of someone that we call a loader, someone that's already doing a lot of things and they want to scale up, and they're freaking adding anything, right? And you need to remember is if they're already doing everything and they're not respecting any opportunity, that is the word. They're doing every opportunity, but they're not respecting anyone, like any specific opportunity. What makes you think they would respect what you have? So you make them respected by pushing them away so much, where at one point they're like, I want to do this. What's up, Jamal? What question do you have, bro?
Is this similar to those guys that say that I'm just looking around for options, just looking for more info, looking for other programs? Is this like a similar concept?
Yeah, so no, that won't be applicable to those people because they're looking for options, right? So it's like if I have someone that wants to do remote setting or DM setting and they're just looking at different options, then they're not a loader. They're just looking at information. And I just got to present my information as the best. But if someone comes to me and they're doing affiliate marketing, trading, and e-com, and they're also trying to fucking start, I don't know, their own business on the side, and they're trying to do remote setting as well because they're like, I want to make more money, that's a loader. So I want to make them realize, like, hey, I got to push them away to an extent where they're like, I really want to do this. Let me in. If that makes sense. Easy, bro.
Yeah, that was clear.
For sure, man. Do you have any conversations, Jamal, that we can review?
Uh, yeah, I remember I took a few screenshots. Let me see if I could find them.
For sure, bro. So many freaking conversations. Let's see.
All right, let me see if I could share this.
For sure, bro. Yeah, this is another example of loader, and this is a conversation of my setter. Um, he reached out. I'm into remote sales somewhat, digital marketing and FX. Why do you want to do this generational wealth? The same freaking bullshit that I was telling you as of right now. He's doing all of this, and what does my setter does? Sort of confused though. I mean, you already got an under 5 plus FX with a bot running trades plus reselling course with marketing on top. What's the goal with something remote you might not even need it? Right, so he's doing the same thing, which is like disqualify to an extent where they just qualify themselves. Let's see. Did you send me screenshots?
Let's read it together. So yeah.
For sure, bro. There we go. Let's see. Okay. Hey, brother. How can I help? What's going on? I'm reaching out on the referral. Okay, so it's a referral, which means we can book them in ASAP. Right. So typically with referrals,
Mm,
I'd never extend the conversation. It's just not worth it. The chances, like, the only reason I invest with coaches after like a 5 to 10 minutes call is because of referrals. They came to me through someone and they recommended them, so I trust them. I pay them, right? So that is one thing I'd keep in mind. Let's see. Um, I'm reaching out for referral of Mary. Maybe you have spoken with her at one point, or maybe not. I was told she does networking, and you were a person who she mentioned as a potential contact to reach out. I actually just finished your online form. I suppose just in case. What's been going on? Okay, so now we're getting to it. I've been getting more serious on doing bottom up somatic work on myself to get control over this nervous system that's constantly rattling me. Okay, so my clarification, the first thing I'm confused about is what does she mean by rattling her? In what way? In relations, in work? Like, what does she mean by that? And what sort of somatic work? Let's see. Just seeing this
mm,
notification. Oh, sweet. Glad to be connected with you. Good, good. I don't think so. This is bad. Love to see how I can support you. Give me a second. I'll have a read through your application. That is great because that is human. Give me a
yeah.
sec. Let me actually look at your application and then you reply to it later. I see. Sorry to hear that. But the overthinking and anxiety has been impacting the relationship. Sounds like you are in a tough spot. How are you holding up? Good job. Good job. This is not bad. I like this so far. Um, but rattling her is still something that we can go back to further in the conversation. So you say
Mm,
something like, "I know you also mentioned that. What do you mean by that?" I'm pretty solid despite of it. Okay, despite of all of it, in the past years, I've just recently entered a new relation, so it took some time to really kick back in to that old patterns. What are the old patterns? Maybe the 3 months, maybe the past 3 months, I've noticed a pretty drastic uptick and figured it's time I get ahead of it before too long. Hmm, interesting. And yeah, cool. Okay, relation tend to bring out a lot of inner wounds. Glad it all sorted. Um, yeah. Okay. Keen to see how I can change this. Scroll down. What do we do? We shutter a course.
Basically the voice message here
Yeah, explains
is
the
like me
program.
proposing a call. Yeah.
Yeah, so did you
So
propose the
then
call or the program?
I proposed the call. Is what I did.
Did she book in?
Yeah, he booked in.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I believe he closed today or yesterday.
That is good, bro. That is good, right? Because again, if it's a referral, then yeah, 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 it doesn't even matter. Is this something you like my help with? I appreciate that, brother. Yes, I'd value your perspective and see. That is what I mean. Is like in your offer, the biggest thing in your offer would be to give them clarity, right?
Hmm.
That would help you a lot, just in terms of giving them more clarity on what they want to do and why they want to do it and why are they the way they are, right? Is
Hmm.
because a lot of people, and by the way, Eunice, how can I do that? Because I simply do not understand that. I'm not a freaking expert. I'm just a DM setter. Just follow one framework in every single conversation. Now, what is my framework with DM setters? What is my thing that I typically do with DM setters? And by the way, I keep on changing it. And as of right now, one thing that I figured out works so freaking well with DM setters, bro. I'm saying I propose the call. They know it's a program. They still book in. Is selling them on the fact that they have the skills, but they don't have the navigation of the industry. So 50% is skills, 50% is navigation, knowing what to do within the space to actually make a career for yourself, one that's sustainable and not just make quick bucks. Right? So I sell them on the navigation and I sell everyone on it. And everyone relates with it. Because it's a broader topic. A lot of sellers would relate with that shit. Some of you would relate with that. Right? So what you want to do is you want to find a similar pattern of always take whatever they say, take it back to their past, talk about what was that one moment that they feel like changed everything for them and impacted them the most. Why did that moment stood out to them? And then you can just proceed to booking calls, right? So that could be your pattern. It's like taking whatever they're saying, finding an anchor of the past to attach with why they're feeling that way, and then why did that specific thing impacted them the most out of everything else, and what have they done to fix it, bada bada boom, and then just helping them book in, right? And what is the build moment, which you can do with every single lead, is doing a bit of introduction. So telling a bit about your story, how you struggle with what they said at one point, and then just following up with something. But later down the line, I realized that whatever we do today, who we are today, is inspired by who we were yesterday. Whoever we are today has been inspired by who we were yesterday. Let me ask you this. Would you agree that, what was the freaking frame that I gave you the other day? Would you agree that we react in a negative way at situations because of our perception of them that had happened in the past? So a similar frame, you already know what the negative frame is like. The
Yeah,
reason you're reacting negatively is because you've had a negative experience. Once they agree with that, you
correct.
take them back to that experience. Now, why do you take them back to that experience? Let me explain this again in the simplest terms. A lot of people say you need, shit, I don't have the freaking pro. Huh, weird. Okay, so what a lot of people don't understand, guys, let me explain. Why do we take them back? This is another type of lead, by the way, which also comes across in ecom, B2B, crypto, trading, emotional leads. I would make a separate topic on that in the modules. Why do we take them back to that anchor, to their past situation, where they actually felt like it impacted them the most? Is because it's extremely emotional. Now, let me explain something to you guys, and I would keep on saying this until it gets ingrained. A lot of people say we need pain to book a call. We need pain to have a solution. We don't need pain. We need a problem to have a solution, right? So let's remove the pain from here. Now, why do some sales gurus or appointment setting coaches say that you need pain? The only purpose of pain is to create such a strong emotion in them that the urge to actually take action and change their situation gets higher and higher. Which means you don't need pain, you just need an emotion that can push them to an extent where they're like, I want to do this. Now, for some people, what is that emotion? For Hiba, if you remember the conversation, it was her baby boy. That was her emotion. The fact that I want to change my situation for my baby boy. So, what you do is you take them back to that one emotional moment that changed everything for them and impacted them the most. Then you talk about why did that specific moment stood out to them out of everything else, and you keep on affirming them. By the way, the only reason I'm asking this is because I've been there, I've been you, right? So you freaking make them feel good. You keep them opening up, and you could even ask about how has it impacted. What has it impacted the most? They would talk about one thing that has impacted the most. So what is their problem? Their problem is overthinking. Right? Their problem is negative reactions. That is the problem. That is what they want to fix. But the emotional anchor that would push them to take a decision is that one moment that changed everything for them, because that is the most emotional. So you would get the problem, which is whatever they're saying in terms of overthinking and everything else. You would proceed to find an emotional anchor, which for you is most likely going to be taking them back to the past, and then you're going to offer your solution. So then for you to book a call, you need a problem. For you to close someone, you need emotion. Most of the time, by the way, not every time. Sometimes I don't even go for emotion if I have authority. But for your offer, this would work amazingly well, is you need emotion, problem is equal to solution is equal to close. Right? So you're getting the problems. The only thing you got to figure out is how to get the emotion, which I just walked you over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was clear.
Easy. Okay. I'll just schedule in a one-on-one with me, bro. I'll walk you over. We'll have a live session of just conversing with people together. Coming back to you guys. Do you guys have any questions? We have about 6 minutes here. Freaking insane because I just realized we don't have the freaking pro. What question do you guys have? Ansel, what is up?
Everything's going well. Um, just have a question in terms of the role plays.
Okay.
Because I know you mentioned like once we'll get to a point of where we're working like 4 to 6 hours a day efficiently.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm thinking about that is because it takes me 1 hour and a half to complete like one full conversation. So
Yeah.
1 hour to 1 hour and a half. So then I'm thinking, how is it like, how can I be more efficient? Is that something that comes with time or?
Yeah, I mean, bro, like you have had two role plays. Like I'm surprised it's only taken you an hour and a half and not 2 hours, right? So it does come with time. Um, okay. In the beginning, you can depend on a script when having role plays. After that, you go from script to thinking yourself, and then ideally, at the end of the role plays, you want to be completely dependent on yourself. No script, no framework, nothing. Right now, why do we do that? Is that is what we call creative thinking skills. If one thing you would realize is when I was having that conversation the other day, is I wasn't thinking about anything. It was just typing messages, typing messages, typing messages, and kind of giving you and explaining why I was saying what I was saying. The reason I was able to do that is because I have creative thinking skills. I know what to say, when to say, and how to say it. And another thing that I feel like is going to help you guys a lot is having those different personalities. For example, the loader. Now you understand what you got to do in this situation if someone is a loader. So you can just bam, 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 talk with them. Now the other person that I would do is like an emotional person that Jamal talks with most of the time. That sometimes you guys would encounter in the DMs. So I would create these subcategories of people based on their personalities and what they say in the DMs and what strings you gotta pull to have the highest close rate, show up rate, booking rate, and all of that. So that would help you a lot. But as of right now, bro, just freaking book calls, man. Just freaking have role plays, schedule in role plays, have shit ton of them. and maximize the use of it. Because we're getting offers, just make sure you're putting in the role plays, and I'll be more than happy to make suggestions. And then once you actually start working, it becomes like 10x easier, bro. It becomes super easy. Make sense?
All right. Perfect. Yeah. I was thinking it's meant to take like 10, 15 minutes to complete one conversation, and I'm
Yeah.
taking like 1 hour and a half.
Yeah, for sure, man. Typically, it does take about even considering I'm like good, it takes about like 40 minutes for me to complete like one entire conversation from a complete outbound to like a booking. But you also got to realize in those 40 minutes, I get more information than you do in an hour and a half,
Yeah.
right? So it's more effective as well. But it's like I feel like, bro, what's gonna be a game changer for you is when I record those modules, knowing what strings to pull with every lead. Because I feel like you guys understand what intent-based setting is, and you guys love it, but how do I freaking apply it as good as you do? And I feel like that I would need to give you something more applicable, something that where you know how to apply it and get the maximum results. Huh. Any other questions, guys? We have 2 more minutes. Shoot it over. No
Yeah, I have a
questions?
question. Like, I
Yeah,
know
go
that
ahead.
you mentioned in one point, like that in the middle of a conversation, that we need to start introducing yourself. But why you are in your DM conversation on the example, you introduce yourself at the beginning of conversation.
Yeah. Okay, it's a really good question. It's because it was an outbound, bro. I had to. Just to build more trust. The guy was ghosting us for a couple of days. Then he reached out to us. He said my notifications were off. I was like, why not? Let me just introduce myself. Right? And typically, a good range is introduce yourself 3 times, 3 to 4 times within a conversation. Right? 3 to 4 times within a conversation. It's more than enough because you got to realize is okay. And another thing is how many of you know Su Wei? Does anyone know Su Wei, the coach? He's like this freaking Malaysian coach. Yeah, I don't
Not
think
really.
so, you guys. Yeah,
Maybe I
for sure, bro. So Su Wei, his content and his brand is so fucking good, bro, that you don't need any introduction in the DMs because every single lead that reaches out to you knows your story,
Mm.
your hustles, your grind. So it makes it 10x easier for you to just set them and have no introduction because they don't need it. Most of the coaches, though, they only talk about value, expertise, boom, 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 course, value, value. They don't talk about their story, their values, who they are, what they went through. So you need to do the heavy lifting for them. Right? So that is why we do introductions in the first place. But guys, we have less than 1 minute here. Joanne, most likely Charlie is gonna get back to you. If not, we have Hoku. Hoku is a funny name. But let's keep on crushing it, man. Let's freaking make shit ton of money and let me know how it goes and leverage the one-on-ones. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye.
You guys, bye bye.